All right, Shalom. I'd like to start up with saying, Call Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harikakwadash, Ma'amath. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Heroine as well. Salutation to the argument that are pushing the truth and sincerity and truth. And peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, I'm Chanakh Sa'am Ba Yashar Aleph from the Lions in the Yashar Aleph camp. And this is a continuation of the lesson I did the other day. Well, going into from the caves to the Oval Office, dealing at the rise and the triumphing of Esau, how he, kind of sort of started out and, where he is today ruling the earth. All right, so as I said, as I closed out the intro, we're going to go into First Maccabees chapter 1, and this is going to go into, as a matter of fact, let's start out with Daniel 8, real quick. All right, Daniel chapter 8, we're going to start at verse 1. It says, In the 3rd year of the reign of Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in a vision, and I saw was by the river of Ulai. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the other came up last. All right. All right. So now that ram is talking about the Persian Empire, right? The Medo-Persian Empire. That's how it had the 2 horns. It had the Persia and the Medes, right? Which became together the Medo-Persian Empire. All right. And ultimately, we're going to see how Persia is the one that took down Babylon. All right, so now, who took down Persia? All right, this is going to be beginning of the rise of Esau. All right, it says, I saw verse 4. I said, I saw that the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hands. All right, it says, but he did accordingly to his will and became great. All right. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And that goat had a notable horn between his eyes. All right. So now that he-goat, right, is talking about Greece. Right. So now let's go into why. Let's hold on, because you had Philip the Macedonian trying to conquer Persia, but could never do it. All right, so his son Alexander was the one that followed up in his stead to take down Darius III, if I'm not mistaken, Darius III or Darius IV, to take the down. So we're going to go into that all in First Maccabees. It's all right. So verse 5, it says, as I was considering, behold, an he-goat from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and that he-goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And that he-goat came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen stand before the river, and ran unto him, and in the fury of his power. All right. All right. In the fury of his power. All right. So now, verse 7. And I saw him come close unto the ram. Right. So now what's happening is you have Greece, right, which is the he-goat, and the notable little horn, which is Alexander. the one that was able to take down Persia, right? Right. That's what him coming in his fury, coming in his fury and his power. All right, to the ram, which is Persia. All right, and it says, and I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his two horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones towards the four winds of heaven. That's going into those four notable horns are Cassander, Ptolemy, Lasimachus, and Seleucus. All right, and that's the Diadochi. All right, but first, before we get into that, we're gonna go into back to, I wanted just to paint a picture of what we're about to read in First Maccabees chapter 1. All right. All right, it says, First Maccabees chapter 1, it says, and it happened after Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and the Medes, right? We just read that in Daniel. It was a prophecy that Daniel had seen, a vision that Daniel had that became true. All right, it says that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. That's always that he was a notable little horn, because Philip the Macedonian, all right, which is Greece, all right, he was trying. So Greece as a whole was the he-goat, and the little ram, the little horn was Alexander. All right, it says in those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jerub from Jerusalem, and dwelled in Modin. Remember Mattathias, right? It's going to be important, right? It says, oh, Slakia, I done jumped around. Sorry, it is, all right. So let's read it again. First Maccabees 1:1. And it happened after Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim and had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece, right? And he made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, all right? It says, and he went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. All right. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these he fell sick and perceived that he should die. So now what this is going into the little horn being broken and four notable horns coming out, and four horns coming out after that. All right. All right. So now, verse 5, it says, after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. All right, so now it says Alexander reigned 12 years and died. All right, so now, all right, so 12 years and died. So he died in I want to say 323 BC. So like 335 or 336 BC. All right. So now, verse 8, it says, and his servants bear rule every one in his place. And after his death, they put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them. And many years where evils were multiplied on the earth. All right. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in Hostus at Rome, and he reigned in his 130th and 7th year. of the kingdom of the Greeks. I think he was 175 to 164 BC, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, his father being a hostage in Rome is a whole totally different story within itself. If I can find the video that the elder did talking about that, I'll put it in the description. There's a lot of underlying stories dealing with Alexander on how, especially with the Diadochi, where how Cassander got into the mix because Alexander's son was supposed to be one of the individuals that he parted his kingdom to, but he ended up getting killed. And that's a whole totally different story within itself. If I can find the video that the elder did on all that, I'll put it in the description box because there's a underlying story dealing with this also. All right, so now that wicked root was also spoken of in Daniel chapter 8. All right, so let's talk about that wicked root. All right, it says, this is Daniel chapter 8, verse 9. Remember there was a little horn, right, that broke off into four horns, okay? All right, that little horn was Alexander. The four horns were the Diadochi, all right? Seleucus, Cassander, Lysimachus, and Ptolemy. All right, so now let's go to Daniel 8 and 8. It says, therefore that the he-goat waxed very great, Greece waxed very great, all right? And when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and it came up four notable ones towards the four winds of heaven. That's the Diadochi that came up after Alexander. All right. Now it says, now what we just read in First Maccabees, this is what Daniel prophesied in verse 9. It says, out of one of them came forth a little horn which waxed exceedingly great towards the south and towards the east and towards the pleasant land, towards Israel. All right. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it came down and it cast down some of the host and the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. All right. That's he came into it was his right, I think it was right after his first voyage into Egypt, when he came after when he came through and ransacked the temple and he and did all kind of shit. Had put an altar up and was and profaned and was sacrificing pigs and doing all kind of crazy stuff. It's gonna go into all that, but he would. I don't want to tell the story. I'm gonna go ahead and read it. But so that's talking about that Antiochus the fourth, all right. So it says, and it waxed, verse 10, it says, and it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the hosts and the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. This is going to go, we're going to lead into the Jewish-Roman wars, but I'm probably not going to go into that because I want to go from there to, from here, this is the foundation, all right, let me see. Real quick. This is just the start of them, like going into Revelation 13, where it says like unto a leopard, and then you know how Revelation 13 goes into the building up of, it went from Greece to Rome, Greco-Roman, and then from Roman, then the fall of I forgot which fell first, the east or western leg, but part of Rome fell, then the other part of Rome fell later on, and then the rising up through the Renaissance period and the structuring of the ECC, which became the EU, NATO, and America. So we're gonna go into end up going into Daniel chapter 7. But right now, we're just talking about the rise of Esau, man. Coming out of the caves, coming from a caveman-like mentality, still having that caveman-like mentality, right? But ending up in the Oval Office once America was established. And they shaved their beards and put on suits and created paperwork. They started whooping our ass with paperwork. They started shedding our blood with paperwork. They made it illegal to do the things that they're doing now. That's the system that we see in place today. All right. So it's going back to First Maccabees 1:10. It says, and there came out of them a wicked roots, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes. That's the one. That's the one that was spoken of in Daniel 8:21. It says, the king who had been in Hoshes at Rome, he had reigned in the 130th and 7th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. All right. It says, and in those days went there out of men out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we parted from them, we have had much sorrow. Right? And if you read Jeremiah chapter 2, it talks about how, you know what I'm saying, not saying that it was prophesying about because what was happening now, because that was going on in Babylon, I want to say. But this devil, like, through his decrees and policies, forced our people to go into, to forget about our laws. All right? All right, so keep going. It says, so this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people who were so forth herein, that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. Part of that was doing the gymnasium and stuff like that. Whereupon they built places of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen, right? And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen, were sold to do mischief, right? And that's what the system is doing today. All right. So there were some that were physically trying to sew foreskin to their back to themselves, but you know, let me find something real quick. But really, that's also talking spiritually, man. Hold on, let me see. This is Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 4. It says, circumcise yourself to the Lord and take away the foreskins of your heart, ye men of Judah, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire and burn that none can quench it because of your evil doing. So right here, when they became uncircumcised, meaning they became like unto the heathen. It was talking about, like, they stopped circumcising the children for real, right? And you had some that were trying to put foreskin back on the penis, but it was a mental thing also. It was a spiritual thing, all right? So this is First Maccabees 1:15. It said, and made themselves uncircumcised and forsook, see, forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief, right? Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt that he might have dominion over the two realms, all right? Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy, and made war with Ptolemy, right, king of Egypt. That's who it was. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to the death. All right, so this is when it gets crazy, right? So after his first voyage into Egypt, listen to what he did next. It says, thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt and took the spoils thereof. And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary and took away the golden altar and the candlesticks of light and all the vessels thereof, and the table of the shewbread and pouring vessels and vials and censers of gold, and the veil and the crown of the golden ornaments that were before the temple, and all them he pulled off. And he took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels, so that he took hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoke very proudly, right? Right. So he did all this stuff, man. So think about it. That's the nature of of Esau being a brute beast, killing, massacring, and so-called what they say conquered, like how they say they conquered America, and things like that, feeling that they could just take from whoever and do whatever they want to as they roam the earth. But he that liveth by the sword must be killed by the sword. So he doesn't even understand that that it's all a setup by Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. So recapping First Maccabees, right? So Daniel was prophesying of Alexander, Greece rising up through Alexander, then the Diadochi being formed, then Antiochus IV, surname Epiphanes, coming from that, and basically going into the daily sacrifice being taken away. All right. So from next, summing that up, started out with Greece. Greece brought out Alexander. From Alexander came the four horns, which is the Diadochi, Cassander, Lysimachus, Ptolemy, and Seleucid. And out of that came Antiochus IV, who brought hell on our people. And then next after that came the Jewish-Roman Wars, or the Maccabean Revolt. Not the Jewish-Roman Wars. That was later on, around 70 AD. No, so scratch that. Slack you for that. But you had the Maccabean Revolt. All right, I might go into that a little bit, but so this is the rise of Esau, man. That leopard, starting out with that leopard, having that great sword to take peace away from the earth. All right. Like it says in Revelation chapter 6, I think verse 4, it said, and then in the First Maccabees said the whole earth was quiet before him, man. All right. So next part, I'm probably gonna go into Revelation chapter 13, probably go into Revelation chapter 13. We're gonna skip a little timelines a little bit because I don't want to make this too long. Revelation chapter 13, the birth of European Union, NATO, and America. All right. Lord willing, this portion of this lesson would edify and serve the purpose for the hopeful elect, the ones that truly believe in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. With that, I'd like to say, Kah Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harikah Kwadash, Ma'amath. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Heroin as well. Salutations to the argument that are pushing this truth, the sincerity and truth, and peace and blessing to them for the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai.